Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this live coding session where we're going to expand on making this island interface, the island interface which is going to be created at runtime random, of course. On the last session we saw how these map points can be configured using a probability table, and we saw that these this AI event sheet is responsible for creating these probability tables and assigning mission types. These mission types are mapped to one or more actions, and the mission types and actions all have strings attached to them. So what happens? Let's go to the generic island, and the first thing I've already done is on the start of the layout of this generic island event sheet, an event sheet which is to be linked to every island and also to every city layout, is what it's going to do. It's going to load the configuration, which is a generic configuration file, create the probability tables. This load configuration will of course read these JSON files where the configuration is stored and store it in these JSON objects which are here in the data folder. Then we're going to create those probability tables, which is in the AI event sheet, and then we're going to call a function called generate map points. So I've already started with this function. This function is here in the map functions, and basically what it does is we're going to create the map points and we're going to we're not going to create the map points because obviously these map points exist. They are objects on the map, these ones here, so they exist, and I've put them there manually and I've configured them manually for this island called Aereal. So here what we're going to do is we're going to store what needs to happen when the user goes to a certain map point. We're going to store it in another dictionary. This dictionary I've called map data. It's right here in the data folder, map data. And we're going to check, alright, it's going to be generated once. We're going to generate it if it's empty. So if it's empty, we're going to generate all of the map data. So the next time we load the this island, we go to this event sheet of that island, and we again call generate map points. We don't want to again generate everything. We want to start from everything which was generated the first time round. So we only do that if this map data is empty. So the first time a user goes to a certain island, this code will be executed, and then it will stay that way for that island, like forever. So what happens is we're going to pick all of the map points regardless, and then for all of those map points, we are what we're going to do is we're going to set the probability table for the advanced random plugin to the probability table of that map point. So as you recall, every map point has this instance variable called probability table. So as well, these mission points or as the city points have those probability tables because they both inherit from the family called map points. So this is how it works. So we loop over every map point on the layout, and then we check, we set the probability table, and then we use the advanced random.weighted expression to set a variable called mission type. This is a local string, you can see that here. And what we're going to do then is a little hack in that sense, that what we're going to do is we're going to create an object on the fly in code. So we create an object of type JSON, and you can see that here this is a JSON. This is just a generic JSON object. It's not going to do anything, and it's specially made to create on the fly and also destroy it on the fly. So we can create any number of this JSON object type. And that's what we're doing here. We create an object, And whenever we create an object, we need to specify a layer and a coordinate. But because this it's an invisible object, of course, this JSON, you can see that on the map. So where do we have to spawn that? On which layer do we have to spawn that? In order to do that, I've created I've set it on the layer data, but the layer data doesn't exist, so I don't know how that works right now. It probably gets created on the first layer then, with just any x and y coordinate. So then we pick the last created one, and we set the mission type property to mission type. So of course this JSON has just been created, so effectively this mission type property in the JSON does not exist, so we just create it actually. And then what we do is we do a loop, a for loop. We call it empty for mission type. It doesn't really matter what you call it as long as you reference it here with the same literal. We start with 0, and then we go and check of inside the mission types JSON file, which is this one here. We get the array size of the mission type property inside the mission types JSON, and we loop from 0 to that -1. So array size will return the number of items in a certain array, starting at 0, of course, if that is nothing, 1 if there's 1, 2 if there's 2, etc. So by doing a for loop from 0 to that array size -1, if there's only 1 in there, we're going to loop from 0 to 0, and the loop will execute once. If there's 2, it will loop from 0 to 1 and execute twice, once for 0 and once for 2. So where does this come from here? Mission types, mission type. And what is this array actually? You can see that here in the mission types. So the mission type, we get a certain mission type here from the advanced weighted random. So for example, let's go to the AI, and here we go to the mission types. We add those entry to the mission type map, and we see all those things here. There are constants. And let's go with, for example, upgrade card query. Let's do this one, mission type upgrade card query. And we can go here to mission type upgrade card query and see, where is it? Here, upgrade card query. The content, the value of this constant is this one, upgrade card query. And you'll see that in mission types, upgrade card query has an array attached to it. And this is the array we're querying. So this array, this instance of the array has 2 values. One is called continue, the other one is upgrade card. So whenever with the advanced random.weighted variable contains, or the mission type variable here, in this one here, which is filled by advanced random.weighted, would contain this constant card upgrade query, this expression would essentially give me the array size of upgrade card query -1. So as we saw in the mission types, there are 2 items in that array. So this will result in 1, because 2 items -1 is 1. So the array will do 2 things. It will loop twice from 0 to 1. And then what we'll do is inside that loop, we will locate this option inside. Now what we'll do is we'll set a value, we'll set a value, and the value we will set in the JSON is called option underscore, and then appended with the loop. And the loop is this empty loop index, will be 0 or 1 in the example we're handling now. For upgrade card query, there are 2 possible values. So the first one, we will create option underscore 1, because loop index will start at 0 when we add 1, so it will be option 1. And then there's the mission type dot the loop index, the first item of this mission type. So if you recall from the helper documentation from Constrict, whenever we loop through an array and a JSON, we can index the array, the items of the array, with array name dot and then a number. So mission types dot 0 would be the first item in the array, mission types dot 1 will be the second item in the array, etc. And that's what we're doing here. We get from the mission types JSON, we get a value, and what we're getting is upgrade card query dot 0 and upgrade card query dot 1. That's what we're doing here by casting this loop index to a string and appending it to the mission type right here. So that's what this will do. And finally, what we're doing here is we're adding to the map data here. What we're doing is we're adding to the map data this key, which is the UID of the map point we're evaluating right now in this loop. It is for each loop. And then we pick this JSON and we put the entire JSON as a compact string in the value of that dictionary. So without further ado, let's see what it looks like by going into the debug of this layout. So now this is being run, and of course the onStartOf layout has been called, and in the onStartOf layout we call generate map points. Of course, by default, this generate map point will encounter an empty map data dictionary. And let's locate it here. So it will have filled that in. It will have filled the map data dictionary. Here we have it. So we have currently 75 items. So that means that there are 75 map points on this card. And the map point with unique identifier 266, which is very likely this one here, has got mission type continue, and there is only one option called continue. So this mission type is the mission type we have obtained from the probability table, and the option 1 is, as you recall, the loop, what we did, and the loop for the continue mission type only encountered one single option, one single action, and this is this continue action. Find treasure card has only one option, obtain card, find treasure artifact, obtain artifact, etc. That's what we're going to do here. You can see here every option there is. So that's effectively generated, and it's done that at runtime. So now we're going to expand on that a little bit, because what I've already created here is what should happen actually whenever we click a map point is we want to see a dialog. We want to see an interface where the user is presented. Okay, if you click this dialog, and this is the mission that is presenting itself. That can be any type of mission, but what's presenting itself, it should be on that dialog, and there should also be up to 3 options a user can choose. And I've created a global mission details layer. I was searching for the word layer, and you can see here we have like an image of an icon. We don't take this into account yet. There is a title and there is content. So I want to go and fill this content here. We don't take into account the title yet. So now what we do is, let's excuse the cat. I've got a cat here, so I'm recording this live. So this is things that could happen, of course. So this is the title. We're going to do initial visible off because we're not taking into account this title yet. What we're going to do is fill this content here with the mission type string, one of these mission types. And you can see here this mission type string has sometimes has some special things in it, surrounded by percentage signs. So, for example, gold or city, etc. These are also things we're going to tackle in a few moments later on in this live coding sessions for the map. So what we see here is we'll go to this line at Astelan here. Also, this here has 3 different options: option 1, option 2, and option 3. There are 3 buttons here. This is a menu button, and you can see here these actions, context, etc. Those are actually the same buttons as you see in the other interface, like the main menu or something. There are plenty of other videos on the channel or on the Patreon page where you can see how these options actually work and other dialogues. But essentially what we're going to do is also display these options here, display these texts, and go into detail on what the actions and the context should be, depending on the generated map point data. So the generate map point data here, that what should be happening is we want to change here the show mission details. So show mission details, as you recall, let's start this island once again. And as you see, whenever we click here, this doesn't do anything. Let's use the sounds of my mobile phone. Again, this is live, so anything can happen really. So what we'll do here is we'll yet again implement this click event. So without the shadow, without this is in here. So let's uncomment that. Whenever we click left and we around the click, and it's not the current one. That's what we're saying here. If we're allowed to click it, and it was clear when we clear the map points and we set the current to 1. So let's see how that works. Go to Island Astelan again here. Okay, you can see how it works. Works perfectly fine. So in an earlier video on this live coding session for the map, I have already shown you how this works, these different effects and this pulsating sign. Whenever we click somewhere, and we can just navigate all through the map like this. Okay, so right now what we want to do is we click there, and whenever we click, we also show the mission details. The mission details, which is this global mission details layer, essentially, needs to be shown at that time. So what we're going to do, I've lost myself a little bit. Here we are. What we're going to do here is I'm going to expand on this show mission details. So show mission details, I've already implemented this in an earlier version of the game, and I'm actually not really interested in it anymore. So I'm going to change it all along. And in the earlier version, I was passing along a mission type and a mission. It's not really applicable now anymore. But there are quite some other stuff which stays applicable. For example, this mission details visible variable here, which is identified here as a global number, is set to 1 to indicate, okay, where the mission details are now visible and some other interaction cannot happen. So whenever this mission details visible is 1, we set the layer to visible, and then we blur the points and the background. And then we set the title, we set the description, and then we set the options. But of course, this needs to be changed. This is not correct anymore in the current context, so we're going to all change this thing. Let's check if we've got some function references, and effectively we don't have any function references right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be replacing that. Let's think. So the mission title, right now we're not doing anything with that, so we're going to delete that. And then we need to set this mission description, but it actually needs to get that mission description from somewhere. But as you recall, what we're going to do is we're going to expand here this generate map points, and we're going to generate this description and the strings for these options right here, and we're going to add them to the JSON file so we can display them whenever the global mission details layer is shown. So let's do that. So in that way, whenever we go back and forth between different points, of course, we're going to implement later on that the content of the points, the mission which is applied in the points, can be rather different whenever we've played it. But for some, for example, if we go and gamble, or we go, for example, to find something or whatever, that can stay the same as well. So in order to never change that, we can still save the map data here. And we save the map data including the text. So right now there's only the mission types and the mission and the actions, which is just a literal, which is just a constant. And we're going to also add these mission type strings and the action strings effectively. So let's do that. So here we have this mission type strings, and what we'll want to do right now is we want to go and see in these mission types, we're going to no, not in mission types, in mission type strings rather. We want to have one of those different strings here attached to that. And here you see these mission types also reappearing. So what we're going to do, JSON adds to JSON. I'm going to add some path called mission type description. Of course, it's not going to exist because the object, the JSON object, is created on the fly. But if it's not existing, it's going to just add that item. And what we want to do here is mission type strings, which is a JSON. We want to get something from that, and what we're going to get is from mission type. Mission type is one of the properties that can be identified in the JSON file. And if you recall, there is an array, and this array contains one or multiple strings that can be chosen as a description. So I want to add a dot here, because what we're going to do is we could simply go and do this. What we're going to do then is from that mission type we've selected, we just pick the first one. So as to test this, let's do that. Let's go and debug that layout and go search for map data. What it should have done now here is, and it didn't do diddly squat. Why not? Let's see. Oh, we shouldn't do that. What did I do? Add to JSON. And that's adding to an array. That's not good. So we had an error here. And it's a live coding session. I can make errors as well, of course. Mission type strings. Let's do the same thing and get a value for mission type dot ampersand dot like this dot. It's just the first one. So we do exactly the same here, but for the description. Now let's try that again. Debug the layout.
Search for map data, or is it? It's alphabetical, but difficult is the alphabet. Here. Here we see nothing to see here. Here for battle choice, we have no mission type description. You can see it's set to 0. Interesting. You find new cards, nothing to see here, etc. So sometimes it doesn't work yet, and that's very likely because it's not configured. So we have a mission type battle choice, and there is no description for it. So let's remember that battle choice. So let's copy it to the clipboard. Battle choice. Copy that to the clipboard, like that. And then go look for mission type strings, battle choice. Battle choice. Effectively does not exist. Searching for it, but it's not existing. So okay. Quest choice. Let me go to AI here and see if it does exist. It should exist, actually. So battle choice should be a mission type here. Here, battle force, battle choice. Apparently they exist and they're not configured yet. So let's configure them, of course. So how do we do that? Battle choice. We've got battle choice like that, and we've got battle force like that. So that's okay. Do you want to go into battle? Of course, this is battle choice means the user has the possibility to go into battle, but it doesn't need to. And battle force, of course, is go fight, for example. So this will solve that little issue here. And of course it will be all regenerated, so you should be lucky to find somewhere a battle force or battle choice in order to test this. Map data. Where is it? Continue, find treasure. Passage costs, upgrade query. Okay. Battle choice, we are. Here, that's what we actually did. Battle choice here. Do you want to go into battle? That's what we configured just now. So essentially, whenever we choose to add a mission type, we need to remember also to add the mission type strings and also the configuration of what is possible. For example, for battle choice, the possibilities are there for battle and for continue. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do exactly the same thing for the options. So option 1, option 2, option 3, those are the options that are generated from the mission types JSON. What we also want to do is option 1 description, for example. So let's just copy paste that, this option here. And instead of just option 1, we also append option 1 description. I keep telling you option 1 but it can also be option 2 and option 3, for example, depending on the loop index. So option _ number _ description. But what we need to do here is this is what we want as a parameter for the action strings. And action strings is also working in the same way as the mission type strings. So what we do is action strings dot get. What are we getting? Of course, this exact same thing here. And
can let's think action string and then the first parameter. Yes, let's do that, and we check debug layout, how it works. Map data up. See how it works. Optional description: be on your way, take the card, etc. So to be on your way, if you remember here in the action strings, this is just the first one of continue. So that's working right now. So what we do here is we get this action, we determine the action, what we're going to get, and then using that same thing here. But I don't really like that we need to define that twice, so I'm going to add a sub action here and a variable called var action, for example. I'm going to put that there and go set value and then var action, and we're going to take this here up and do that, and then we're going to for action use that there, and here instead of doing that again, here for action again. So that way we only need to do this logic once and we can use this variable. If one day we need to change that, we can just change it on one spot. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not really satisfied with the fact that it's always the first one, always .0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the string of the floor of random I'm confused. I'm going to add, so this is for, okay, a floor of random, and what random is the mission type, strings dot array size mission type. So array size, for example, we have 3 possibilities. Array size is going to be 3. Random is going to be a number between 0 and 3, not including 3. And the floor for that is going to be 1, 0, 1, or 2, because it's not including 3, so this should actually work. So now it's randomized. Let's see. Again, go to map data, and indeed continue. There is nothing to see in this place. Option, okay, this is no longer working. So the good news is here, there's nothing to see in this place is without the shadow, without not the first one. And the mission type strings, see, this is the second one, so the randomization worked nonetheless. But I've got a regression bug, so for action seems to not be working here. Why not? Set option to var action. Of course it's a number. How silly. It should not be a number, it should be, okay, for action string, and then we should for action string remove this one. Of course, string, and here of course for action string,
simply remove this one, and we can rename this. So now it's a string. Let's see if this bug is fixed. Map. Data. Okay. So last thing I want to do right now is do something similar here with the description, because here we still see it's only taking the first one here. So I'm just going to copy that thing here. Copy. And instead of 0, I'm going to append this. And of course it should not be mission type strings, but action strings, the array size of var action. That's it. So let's check that. Okay, so now it is randomized as well. Great, that's it. So that's it for this live coding session part 2 of the map interface. In the next part, we're going to go and finish up this global mission details based on the array we've or the JSON we've been setting up here. So as always, please like, please subscribe, and if you want the full source code of the game, please support me on my Patreon site. The link is in the description. See you later.